let's check the volume. All right. Turn that off so it doesn't echo. All right, getting some messages. Let's see. What are people sending me on my phone? Nope, nothing. All right. Well, hi, Monkey. So far, it's just you and me. Hey, I'm monitoring the various emails to see if there's anybody else who wants in. Ugh. Uh, who is Jim? Why don't you come on the meeting, Jim? He's sending me emails instead of coming to the meeting.
Maybe he doesn't know how to use Zoom.
That's possible.
I don't know how to use it.
Well, you're here. Welcome.
Well, yeah, my first time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nailing it. This is kind of the first time that I've successfully got on the Zoom, published it ahead of time, and I've got the YouTube connected and streaming correctly. So I'm pretty pleased with myself at the moment.
You're just turning in.
Well, go ahead. What?
Oh, you're just turning into a techno wizard.
Sorta. It's my mind can do many things, but not all things at once. So like I have to choose between being good at making videos and doing all of this stuff, or being able to build robotics and program, Raspberry Pis. I can't do both. Um, and it takes a while for me to learn how to do either. So, and there's lots
Well,
of people right now who do robotics. So it's like, you guys do robotics. I'm going to focus on human power and, video documentation. And
I know robotics up here was a big deal a couple of years ago for the schools,
yeah,
but
and it is a big deal. I mean, that's going to be the challenge with the robotics is it really does replace workers. And as long as workers don't own the production, it's
yeah.
gonna suck. We have to rethink how people clothe and shelter themselves. It's not by trading time for dollars anymore.
Yeah, well, some things take the human hand
Yeah.
and the mind.
Yes. So while I've got you here,
Yeah.
So one of the things that we're working to do is to have the race be the race and really like do a good job supporting the race. And that involves, all of the normal stuff like porta potties and road closures, but it also involves like building the community.
Yeah.
And what is that? What does building the community mean?
Well, you have different communities. You have the volunteers. You have the logistics of getting the volunteers from place to place and dealing with the crowd, and the racers, which is their own community.
Right.
So you've got all these different groups that you have to kind of organize and get together, orchestrate.
Yeah.
And there's so many new people coming in, especially with the last couple of years, with COVID and other things, that they really don't know the way the race used to be.
Right. And you know what? I go two directions on that. On one way, it's like, that's fine. On another way, it's like, what are the things that we really want to carry forward? For me, like one of the things that we're just now comprehending in the world is failing to succeed. And it's a big deal right now. Everyone's going to these seminars and these muckety muck things about you're gonna fail more often than you're gonna succeed. And Hobart knew that. He celebrated that.
Yeah, that's second to last and mediocrity and all that.
Right. Yeah. So it's easy right now to carry that forward.
Yeah.
That value. But what are some of the other ones that are maybe not as apparent because they're not hip right now, that the newcomers should know?
Well, when all this started, it was a couple of friends get together after work and say, I can make something better than you.
Right.
I have a different idea. I just, you go to your garage, I go to my garage, and we'll build something and we'll race.
Yeah.
It's what's the term? A challenge.
Mhm.
I can do it better than you. But in that case, somebody's always going to not win. They don't necessarily lose, they just don't win.
Yeah. Yeah. So the friendly
idea
challenge.
Is to have fun doing the whole process.
Yeah. I'm going to shut my video down here for just a second. I'm getting a message on the phone. Let's see if it's anything related to this. Oops. So since my computer doesn't have a camera.
Oh, it's that old, huh?
Yeah, it really is that old. I do this on my phone, which then of course people are trying to like figure out how do I get into the meeting, and they send me messages through the phone. It's like, well, all right, we'll see what we can do to accommodate you. But meanwhile, you get to look at my glamour shot there.
Yeah. Are you going in? Okay. Okay, you go in. Tell grandma I'm on Zoom.
Yeah.
Tell grandma I'm on Zoom. Okay. I'm kid watching too at the same time. There you are. Yeah, the computer I use in my garage doesn't have a camera either, so this is my first time on my phone doing this.
Mhm.
I'm gonna
Oh my golly.
Or we can do leftover. Where's that? Oh, well, either way.
That's interesting for me.
Hopefully it's something you can't share.
What? Hi, Lance.
Hello.
So Lance has built a lovely little red tricycle that I'm looking forward to racing next to one
Yeah.
of these times. Yeah.
So you built it, Lance, and Robert's gonna race it?
No, I'm
No,
gonna
I'm
write
gonna-
it.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna race against him.
There you
Oh.
go.
And that friendly challenge thing that you were just talking about as one of the things that we value. Because the thing is that, like, if you've got a football team and you train and you train and you train and you show up to the field and you're the other team doesn't show up, that's no fun.
No.
You gotta.
Who
you have to
trains?
Lance is gonna train.
Yeah, I'm overweight. I need to work on it.
Well, the funny thing is, I've got a guy here in Westport, little town on the Washington coast, that turns out he used to live in Arcata, and he heard about the Kinetic race. And he actually posted a picture of Hobart on the pentacycle from Don's book. Well, then I let him borrow the book.
Nice.
So now he wants to build one.
There you go.
So probably within the next year or so, we'll be working on something. We might, hopefully if Port Townsend has a race, we might try Port Townsend first
Hmm.
because it's closer.
I think October is going to be a pretty good time to start being out with other people. I really, I
That's
really
kind
do
of what
believe
we're
that.
thinking up here.
Yeah.
But
We're-
even if
We're gonna try to have our race in June, end of June.
You're in Klamath
Yeah.
Falls? Yeah. Did I say that right?
Klamath Falls. Yep.
Klamath Falls.
yeah,
I-
not
I-
Klamath Falls.
I work so hard to say Willamette River when we're up there in Corvallis. It's just, it's like trying to rub my head and pat my belly. It's not, I can't Willamette. I have to really work hard to make sure I say Willamette.
That's one of the races I've never been to. Is Klamath Falls.
Yeah. Come on up or down, whichever.
It's down.
Yeah. Come on down.
That
But, yeah.
Tago Hill looks brutal.
Yeah. It's pretty steep.
Is it going up it or down it?
You gotta go up it. It's pretty steep.
It's like a 13% grade or something insane. It's some.
How does it,
Go ahead.
how does it compare to Lolita Hill?
Oh, it's steeper.
Oh, okay.
But it's not as long.
I've never been, but the videos that like Tina Kerrigan posts, it's like, ooh, that is ugly. That's an ugly hill.
But it's only like a third, like a third of a mile or less.
Oh, it's short. Okay.
Lolita Hill's at several miles, isn't it? I don't know how long it is.
It's 1 mile. It's only a mile tall. And actually, I'm going to correct you. It is Table Bluff.
Oh, yeah.
It is not called Lolita Hill.
When you drive the highway, it's Lolita Hill.
Yes, but that's a name given to it by people who are colonizers and rapists.
We're not going there, Robert.
Well, yes, we are, because one of the things that we have to do is start honoring our community at large, and that includes the First Nation people who have been part of that area for literally 10,000 years. And
Well,
they
Klamath
specifically-
Falls is named after the Klamath tribe that was in this area.
Awesome. Well, Lolita Hill is a new name, and actual name appears very difficult for Western tongues to pronounce, and so the people who care about this have asked that the race and the racers and everybody start referring to it as Table Bluff, because that's apparently the translation of it is Table Bluff. So I'm working to make sure that we always talk about it as Table Bluff, even though it says Lolita Hill when you're on the freeway. But I can't control the freeway. So
Well, if you can figure out a way to make it sound more interesting, maybe they can change the name a little bit so that other people can pronounce it.
yeah. I think we're still okay calling the uphill side of it Melvin's Mile. I think that's okay. So, but because that's like a pet name that we've given that section there.
Yeah.
But talking about that whole thing, we're switching our language to call it Table Bluff.
I've only actually ridden that part of the course once.
And there's a lot of push within like the old timers to just not even do that section of the race anyway, to go back and do the slippery, slimy slope.
Well, that was fun and it was a crowd pleaser, but you can never get much crowd in there.
Yeah. Alan has a really good assessment of the danger of going down that road. As soon as you hit like 20 or 25 miles an hour, the amount of momentum that you've generated is enough to actually kill you. And these are hand-built vehicles that are prone to falling apart.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go 25 miles an hour or even on a flat ground. That sounds scary.
It is. But so this hill, you hit it the second day. So you've conquered the water, you've conquered the sand, you've just fought your way up this mile incline, and you get to the top, and everybody in your team is like, oh, thank goodness I don't have to pedal anymore. And you start flying down it, and nobody
gotta
wants to
make
put on the brakes.
And you got to make the right turn at the bottom.
Yes. Yeah. It's a sharp right turn
Yeah.
at the bottom. So Bill and Billy Penix and Jess Davis. Who's his Jessica? And anyway, when they did the vehicle, the Blue Oyster Cult, they got to the top of the hill and they said, okay, let's see how far we can go. So they didn't put the brakes on. They got up to 40 miles an hour and flew around that corner on two wheels and then coasted for about 2 miles down Cannibal Island Road. So it is possible to survive at high velocity.
If you can make that turn at that velocity.
Yes.
Wheels tend to fold in taco going that fast.
Yeah. Ugh. Well, Don, my teammate, is really good at saying, hey, let's keep the brakes on. We don't go, we go maybe 20 miles an hour at the most before she starts.
Yeah, we when I ran up that hill, we free falled the other side, and it was scary.
Yes.
But we had really good brakes, and when we grabbed them, they worked.
Brilliant.
But when they don't work, that's when you got a problem.
Yeah. So safety sounds like one of the things that we value. Life and limb.
Well, there's been incidents in the past where people have lost limbs or appendages.
Appendages, yeah.
Or parts of appendages.
Apparently Reed Lacey has one hand that looks like that.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks you guys for being here. I sent this out to 140 people and we've got, the 4 of us. So
4. I only see 3.
Okay, the 3 of us. I count twice.
What is Dawn in the background?
She is actually out back prepping some panels for painting. So she's not on this call right now.
I was late. My wife wanted me to take some cans down to the bottle return place, so I was doing that last minute. So
no worries. Gives me extra time to set up the space.
So what is your experience, Lance?
Well, I saw the race in Cloud Falls one day. I was just driving around and like, what the heck is this crazy thing? And then the next year at an earlier event in the year, they had a volunteer table set up somewhere, and I volunteered.
You got suckered in.
And so I was a ground pounder for a couple of years. And then the gal that was running the race basically was done with it. She was going to quit. And they actually put an obituary in the paper for our race, saying that it was dead with no leadership. And a local doctor that had never even seen the race said, I'm going to start this. I can't let this die. So she started it up and she created a board and asked all the volunteers to be part of the board. And I was part of the board. I was in charge of timing and scoring. So I was father time for a couple of years. And then she wanted to retire. And so I took her place after that. So now I'm the supreme organizer.
Wow.
And then finally 3 or 4 years ago, I decided, well, I've been with the thing for quite a while. I should build my own. So I built my own sculpture. And the first one was all out of wood, and it was a 2-pilot vehicle, and it weighed like 500 pounds. And we did not get up the Kegel Hill. It broke down in the sand. Horrible.
That kind of sounds like the 2-ton trike.
Yeah. And then I took it completely apart and rebuilt it to be a trike with the 2 front tires and 1 back tire.
Oh, okay. You're the one building that one.
Yeah, and then I reconfigured it to be a trike, about half the weight, about 250 pounds, still 2-pilot. And then with all this COVID stuff, like, well, maybe I'm not sure if I can get a second person to pilot with me. So I'll build a single person sculpture. And it's the metal one that Bob was talking about. It's painted red. It's little red. I'm the rider from the hood.
Okay.
The rider from the hood on Little Red.
Yeah.
Ride that. Oh, I'm not gonna go there.
That brings up a point, Robert, about the different communities involved in the race. Is burnout for people running the race.
Yes.
Because
So,
after a couple
yeah.
of years and all the infighting and arguing and dealing with government officials and things, people just get burnt out running the race. It's and it's a year-long thing. It's not just the weekend for putting the race on.
Right.
For the racers, it's racing the weekend and the volunteers doing the weekend, but the organizers are working 6, 8, 10 months of the year, if not more.
Yeah.
After the
Go
race in June, we usually take a couple months off, and we usually reconvene, in September or October, and start talking about the next race.
There's actually an illness with the Kinetics that, because of all the adrenaline that happens during the race, you come down off that adrenaline after the race, and you really need to just sit by yourself and get away from it for at least a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Before
that's one of the reasons that we are doing the work we're doing right now, Monkey.
Yeah.
Is, what has happened in the past is a group of people who are well-intentioned and ill-equipped struggle to put on an event, and they manage it. They put on an event, but then there's no support the rest of the year to raise funds and train people and bring volunteers on board and make sure that they're background checked and trained on how to interact with the public. And the chaos part Hobart would have loved, but it's not the way that you create a sustainable thing. So that's go ahead.
Oh, we just had so many characters back in the early days that they just kind of developed and stayed with everything. And people that probably could not have passed a background check, but they were fixtures in the race for years. As far as volunteers and traffic and safety and other things.
I always thought this started out in Humboldt County, and the notoriously known for their wacky tobacco. Hey, let's get our sculpture, let's get our artwork and race down the street. I always thought that was involved.
No, that was way before that.
Okay.
Yep. It really was way before that. Hi, Mike. Mike, who are you?
You're on mute if you're trying to talk, Mike.
I might have to kick him off real quick if he's a Zoom bomber. Yeah, so one of the things we want to do is allow characters. We want characters, but we also want we want structure. We want to vet people. We want to make sure that the organization is like the organization is its other thing. It's this other. The race is this thing that we're going to help run and support and produce and get Justin Hobart Brown's approval on and figure out how to navigate that. The relationship between the race producers and Hobart Brown's estate has never been a tidy, pleasant relationship. So we're working to make sure that it is. And we want characters. We want people who are interesting and entertaining. But then we definitely want to make sure that the mechanics and the function is also really well tended and taken care of. So the new board of directors is really committed to being boring and allowing the characters to dwell over in that other space.
And even with characters, I'm more of an introvert. I don't like being around a lot of people. So the Kinetic race was always a time that I could be a different persona during the race. Nobody knew my name for 20 years during the race. So
wow.
It's just a matter of the characters that come out for the weekend. It's their chance to be somebody else and not their normal life people. But like you're saying, the organizers still have to work all that rest of the year with the county, the cities, the state to get all the permits and everything organized and set up. So they have to be normal people for all that time of organizing, but then they can bring out their alter persona during the weekend.
If they want to. I think that's
to.
one of the things we're trying to, there's so many people who want to be part of this and want to support it that we really don't have to like double and triple up on jobs and tasks. And that's one of the things that happens is you end up with 4 people who are running the entire thing. And then they also have to show up and do stuff the day of the race. And that's too much to ask of human beings. So we're trying to work away from that.
They, dealing with the local government authorities, the cities, counties, and the state, that has to be done by somebody that knows how to deal with those things.
Yes.
Because those people on that other side of the table are not characters. They're doing their regular jobs. So to have
our organization board only has 5 people on it, so it's kind of hard to. We need more people, but yeah.
Well, Klamath Falls only has to deal with Klamath Falls.
That's true.
Or do you have to deal with state?
No, we don't. We have to do the lakes part is we have to go through the county sheriff's office or whatever for that, but that's about it.
But with the Humboldt race, they have to deal with Arcata, the county, Eureka, the county.
All right.
The state because they're on the highways, and then Ferndale. So you got all these different municipalities. They got to be involved.
Oh yeah.
And those are government officials. They don't, get dressed up and and in character for the race. No, they're doing their jobs.
You're right. Here's something that we've discovered that is leverage that we've never used. We've never identified the economic and social impact of participating in kinetics, so that we, when we go to the government agencies, we can say, look, this is something that serves your community.
That was done years ago, and there was probably
Right.
some numbers brought out that weren't quite true, and maybe some of them were. There was talk of $1 million and more being brought into the community of Humboldt,
Yeah.
between racers
Yeah.
and spectators and everything else. I know
I've been
that
told that's a conservative number now.
It-
I was
it-
talking to the Economic Development Board, and they're like, oh no, that I'm sure it's more than that.
Wow.
and they have a different board now than they had back then, of course. And that's the other problem with government officials, is you tend to have different people every year.
Mhm.
Either elected officials or just, regular county, city people.
So two of the things that we need are like real numbers, and we're working through a bunch of channels to find out what those real numbers are. What is the economic benefit to Humboldt County for hosting this race? We're getting numbers for that. There's another piece that is, what's the human impact? So there's anecdotal stories about like people not committing suicide because they're looking forward to the race and participating in the race. We're gathering these anecdotal stories and asking people's permission to share them. And I've got one person right now who's writing one, and I'm actively seeking more people who are willing to say, hey, I was this, and the only reason I'm still alive is because this happens every year, or the only reason that I don't do Y is because. So I'm looking for those kinds of anecdotal stories.
And it's not just doing the race, it's building a machine.
Yes.
And keeping your hands busy. I've been involved in that many times.
Yeah. I don't think of you as a writer, Cliff, but could you maybe jot down some notes?
If I can remember them, because it's a long time ago.
Okay. Yeah.
My history goes so far back, it's ridiculous.
I really cherish the photograph of you and Hobart, and is it Barbara, coming back up out of the water after the VIP barge sank?
I don't remember her name, but she was the rose hips queen for Port Townsend. And yeah.
Yeah, it's a great photo. It really says friendship and community and belonging, and yeah. Oh, so belonging, that's a value. I'm going to write that down.
And going on the belonging, me personally, growing up in Humboldt and doing the race all my years, but then, moving around, and I've done numerous other races because of being in different places. One year having done, I think, 4 different races in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Between Humboldt, Corvallis, Port Townsend, and Sacramento.
You did river rides?
I didn't ride the machine at all 4 races.
Wow.
I just, was pit crew. No, wait a minute, take that back. I rode the machine in Port Townsend.
Okay.
The easy course. but I think it was the last year of the River Otter. And they were rocket scientists
Yeah.
that were on the machine. That was when I met the 2-ton trike.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Was that Elliot built the 2-ton
Elliot, yeah.
trike? Yeah.
Yeah, because Elliot lived just around the corner.
Hey, Mike, you've been really just lovely, just enjoying the camaraderie here. What do you value about this community?
Yeah, the camaraderie is a big part. I enjoy Corvallis largely because everybody camps together at the fairgrounds and we have a chance to have a beer in the evening and walk around and look at each other's machines.
Yeah.
And to a similar comment for K Falls, it's nice everybody being at the KOA.
Yeah.
It's good to be of use. Reminds me of that movie, The Cider House Rules, where that's one of the things I said. It's important to be of use.
Yeah. So being of use to, like, in service to what? Just use, or like is there something, is there a something on the horizon there?
Well, the feeling that you're helping other people have fun and keeping machines going and etc. Being a part of it. You touched on that already.
Years ago, there were different groups in Humboldt County that would get involved as volunteers, and they would be maybe developmentally disabled people, people that normally wouldn't be in the volunteer realm. And that was their big thing. They loved, helping direct traffic, being part of the event. They didn't have to build a machine, but they could still help.
Yeah, that really, so I didn't notice it in our first race. And,
it was it was way before you, Robert.
Well, but during our second race, I certainly noticed it. So in 2015, 2016, I definitely noticed who was directing traffic, and then by the following year, 2017, we were actively engaging with them and playing, which was great fun, and that endeared me to this community in a way that has like locked me to it, which I think is why I said yes when they said, you want to help us recover from the past several years. I said yeah, you guys do important work.
There are some places that need professionals as volunteers, but there's also a lot of places that volunteers of all sorts can help with crowd control, with directing of traffic, of kinetic traffic. There's lots of places for all kinds of people to be involved. So it doesn't have to be limited.
Right. And so when all racers leave the plaza in Arcata, that whole thing has to be cleaned up. There's a lot of people need to do that.
Oh, even on the plaza.
Yeah.
There has to be people that volunteers that keep the public out of the streets, especially when it gets close to starting time. And it's really easy to give them a t-shirt or a jacket, and when you're told to keep these people off the streets, get them on the sidewalks, they're going to get run over. And most of them know how to do that real well. Or just be friendly with the public,
Yeah.
ambassadors of the race.
Yeah, that's a big part of volunteering at Port Townsend. You know, first start, well, you get a t-shirt, but a lot of the Kinetic cops have the old time bobby hats. And anybody that's been a spectator there very much knows that what they are. So if they've got questions, they go to one of those people.
Oh yeah, there's a large group of people, of the volunteers in Port Townsend, that are helpful. You know, most of the Kinetic cops, they organize them all the time. You know, there's a couple of higher end people that have been there for a while, but they always bring new volunteers in from around town. And Port Townsend is not a big town. So, you know, keeping interaction between the public and keeping the public and the racers separate is a big deal. And then there's the people, the tourists that are just driving into town and have never seen this before, that have no idea where the hell's to go and what's going on.
Yeah, well, that was me. That's how I got into Kinetics. Went to Port Townsend one weekend when it was going on, and wow, cool. Ended up talking
Wow.
to Edge and started helping, and yeah, there you go.
Yay. Well, I'm sure glad you're part of Kinetics.
You know.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say my history with Port Townsend goes back to like 85. You know, and I'm actually wearing my Port Townsend shirt.
Yeah, show it to us.
Can I? Have I been sitting here this whole time without a picture?
Yeah,
Yep.
you have.
Oh, geez, I don't even know how to set up a picture. Well, somebody's going to have to. Oh,
That's all right. I've been thinking about the Kinetic cops in
There I
terms of, hey, there it is. Oh
I
my
told
gosh.
you it's my first time on Zoom.
I've been thinking about the Kinetic cops in terms of like the Black Rock Rangers, who do a really fine job of I want to use the word policing, but I want to use it in its original term, like just monitors, so that the sheriff doesn't have to get involved. And I should call John up, or some of the other Kinetic cops, and ask them if they want to expand their responsibilities or something.
I think each race should have their different version of that kind of person. You know, the Kinetic cops is pretty much specific to Port Townsend. They've had a couple of different variations in Humboldt County.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I remember if they have something like that in Corvallis or not. They pretty much just have volunteers, I think, in Corvallis, but not really like a police force.
Yeah. John comes down, John Litsenko.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I won't tell you what I call him.
Ooh, okay. Thank you. Because we are streaming on YouTube.
Oh well, that's okay.
And this will be available publicly later.
Hey, I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
We're all good friends. For years,
Go
I
ahead.
did security in Humboldt County for concerts and different events, and that was always our thing: is to be polite and friendly with the public. You don't have to strong arm people, you know, unless you get to a point where you have to. So having a police force, for lack of a better word, in Humboldt that would be something similar to the Kinetic cops, but a different, you know, the red coats, blue coats, I don't know, something, you know, their own police force. the head security people.
What other word are you gonna put at the other end of kinetic besides cops? Come on. I beg you, let me know what that word is.
I'm gonna have to think about that one.
Kinetic control. No.
That's been used in Humboldt County. They've had, kinetic control for traffic control with a K, of course.
Careful with that.
Yeah.
Because like Crab Park especially needs some extra attention. It's really, it's uncomfortable to be there. And it's in our rules, and I don't want to let go of the rules that you have to camp one night. But there needs to be some attention paid to Crab Park to make it more comfortable.
Well, Crab Park has always been a fluctuating situation. Going back
Yeah.
to the old days when they camped out on the beach and there was no public access allowed, you had to come across by boat or four-wheel drive from Table Bluff. But now that it's on the mainland side, pretty much anybody with a car can come out. And even if you keep out the public, the general public, and have just the racers, after a little bit of alcohol and other imbibements, things can get kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the canned music thing and the partying, yeah, that can always get out of hand.
Yeah, speaking as an elderly gentleman at Crab Park, geez, I need my sleep, and I don't know how to control that better.
And
Yeah.
maybe having different camps at Crab Park.
Well, they do try to do that. The area farthest away from the beach is supposed to be a quieter area,
Yeah.
but that doesn't really work. Some of them are major loud, and then when there's fireworks going off at 3 a.m.
Well, yeah. And some things that do happen tend to be illegal in general. Not necessarily against the rules, but illegal.
Yeah. Well, I'm taking it as my own personal mission to end the fireworks at Crab Park. I've got no room for that in my heart. And I'm trying to find other people, because as a board member, I can like unilaterally say that, but it's better if I also am responsive. So
you can say no, but it's like, we have no fireworks allowed in the city of Westport, but they show up every year.
But if I hire a security guard or like 4 security agents to patrol the beach, and when someone starts setting up their mortars, it's like, sorry, you're out. That's a power that I can.
That's strong arm, and that is not going to be taken well.
You're right. It's not. And yet Mike needs his sleep.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
not
do I.
Big mortars. Two or 3 years ago at the bonfire, somebody had some handheld fireworks that they were shooting at people. I saw a kid get hit, and I finally just went back to the campsite. It's getting dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole reason that we now camp on the mainland side, is because the beach side of Crab Park, fires got out of hand and washed away the entire beach. So maybe using the fact of, starting a fire to add it into the Kinetic rules.
Yeah.
Not only is it illegal to the state and the county and our permit, but it should be in the rules.
It is in the rules. It says no fireworks. And the thing
okay.
is that none of the teams are bringing fireworks. These are people who know about the party and come to the party.
Oh, okay.
And so we can't even like penalize a racer 5 hours because it's
You have to
on
connect
their
the
team.
person to the team. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even parking passes. don't work. Keeping people,
Yeah.
racers out of the air or non-racers out of the area.
The thing
Oh,
is,
I
it's a
think that's
bottleneck,
simple.
And so if we're smart, we could figure it out. We could make sure that someone's monitoring wristbands, and we could make sure there's a monitor of parking passes. And we really could figure, and strong arm people out who are misbehaving, and it would be a much more pleasant experience.
Well, the wristbands and parking passes, yeah, you can kind of control that, but you got volunteers, and unless you got volunteers with
Yeah.
experience dealing with that,
Yeah.
somebody you should talk to about that is Rob Dog,
You are right.
because he was one of the people that did our security that I worked with at concerts, festivals.
How do I get in touch with Mr. Dog?
Pretty
Would
much.
Would Jeno have his contact?
She should have
Okay.
his email. He's not really on Facebook or on
Yeah.
computer much,
No.
but Jen should have his email and his phone number.
Okay. All right. Well, gentlemen, it's been an hour, and we do this every Friday. It's just a kind of a check-in time to do what we did tonight, talk about kinetics and what's important to us.
I changed my image to my first sculpture.
Oh, yay!
That thing was really huge and heavy. Let me change my picture to my new one though. Hold on a second. Profile picture. Change.
No,
picture.
see, that's a step outside the box, because everybody thinks you got to make it work out of metal.
Right.
There's a reason they get made out of metal, but I've seen machines made with just 2x4. So yeah, I that's the one I remember talking about.
Yep. Well, when I started, I didn't know how to weld, and I didn't even have a welder. So after year and a half or so, I finally bought myself a welder, and so.
Actually, most of those early machines with their tube like that are brazed, not even welded.
Hmm.
But that's a different skill you'd have to learn.
Yep.
All the old racing bikes were all brazed together, not welded.
Hmm.
But 110 wire feed welders have gotten so cheap that
Yep.
I think Robert and Don started like that. I remember seeing pictures of Don learning how to weld.
Yep.
And spatter everywhere.
Oh yeah. Well, I read somewhere that you don't have to be a good welder as long as you're a good grinder and painter.
No, you have to be a good welder, because you got to melt metal to make it work.
So, question for
There's
Matt. What,
being able to build things out of not melted metal is important, especially as we try to develop fresh racers. So I might talk to you offline about your experiences, Lance.
Sure.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, Lance, question for you. What kind of things are you looking at COVID wise for deciding whether or not you're going to hold your race?
Well, the city parks department has a meeting every month, and they approve, or they get requests for new activities going to happen in the parks. And according to the state guidelines, we're in the high risk category. There's 4. We went down from extreme risk down to high, so we're down to that part. And according to the guidelines, outdoor activities do not have a limit as long as you're keeping people, 6 feet apart, everybody's wearing masks. So hopefully most of our stuff is outside. We usually have an opening night dinner and an evening night dinner. And we're trying to figure out if we can do those outside or how we can do those particular things.
what time of year is it?
It's last weekend in June, so it's usually we
Okay.
can do stuff outside.
Yeah, one reason I asked that is yesterday I had a nice telephone chat with Reed from Corvallis, and the limit there is that since it's based at the fairgrounds, that Benton County has to say that it's okay.
Yeah.
I guess no sharing the showers then. Yeah, and that's one of the things as far as dealing with different municipalities with all the different races. Corvallis has to deal with the city and the county because of the fairgrounds and the river. And the river's the state, actually, I think.
We had good deal with the county sheriff for the lake access.
Yeah, each different race has their own, people they have to deal with.
Yeah.
It creates issues. So, especially with COVID, you've got county officials, you've got city officials, you got state officials, and they all got to be on the same page. And
Yep.
you always need somebody that can get all those people together. State wants this, the county wants this, the city wants this.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, I got a quick question about Zoom. I've got a free
Sure.
account and I can only do like a 40-minute video. How much does it cost to have a license to have longer videos?
I think the regular price is like $400 a year, and
Wow.
right now they've got it at 150. So if you want to do longer, just go do Google instead. The Google Meets.
Okay.
There's no limit on those as far as I know.
Wait, this cost me?
Yeah, I'm taking this out of your racer fees, Cliff.
Shut up, Robert.
No, I'm gonna talk for hours and hours. I'm like
I was
PG&E.
talking about the name you used.
Oh, okay. All right, monkey. Great. I can talk for as long as I want on your dime, as long as I call you monkey. Got
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Okay. Gentlemen, I'm gonna start making something for dinner who knows what it'll be. But thank
Pineapple?
you. No. But thank you all for coming tonight. This was good. I got a lot of good notes.
Okay,
Stuff
well,
that I
thanks
can
for
take
the-
action on, and stuff that I can push back out, and maybe help a couple other races with as well.
Well, if I can
Thanks.
make it back on next week, is this going to be a weekly thing?
This already is a weekly thing.
Oh, okay.
It's been kind of under the radar a little bit, but I'm starting to like amplify it now. So
Okay, well,
and
maybe
we're- yeah,
send me a reminder Thursday or Friday.
yep,
I'll try to remember.
cool. Okay, thanks.
Oh,
If you
thanks
want,
for putting it together.
You bet.
All right. See you guys later.
See you guys later.